A confession for All Hallows Eve, 1889. I have been making candy for 30 years, and for 30 years I have been grinding bones into every batch. There, the truth stands plain and unadorned. No careful euphemism, no gentle approach. I am Thomas Ashford, proprietor of Ashford's Fine Confections on Mercy Street, and every Halloween sweetmeat I have sold, every sugared almond, every peppermint stick, every caramel wrapped in wax paper, has contained a particular ingredient that no recipe book would ever list: human bone, ground to the finest powder. Now let me tell you why. Welcome to Fright Club. Subscribe for more. Now, how it began. I was 23 when I discovered the secret, newly apprenticed to old Mr. Cornelius Blackwood, who ran the finest candy shop in the city. It was October of 1859, and I had been working for him only 3 months when he called me down to the cellar on the evening of October 29th. "Time you learned the true craft," he said, his voice raspy with age. He was 70 then, stooped and liver-spotted, but his hands were steady as he unlocked a heavy door I had never seen opened before. Beyond it lay a second cellar, deeper than the first, with stone walls that wept moisture and a smell I could not immediately place, something mineral and old, like the inside of a crypt. In the center of the room stood a grinding mill, larger and finer than the one we used upstairs for sugar. Beside it were burlap sacks, perhaps a dozen of them, their contents creating odd lumps and angles beneath the fabric. "Open one," Mr. Blackwood said. I untied the nearest sack and looked inside. Bones, human bones from the look of them, femurs and tibias, ribs and vertebrae, all cleaned of flesh and bleached white. I stepped back, my gorge rising. What is this? The foundation of our success. Mr. Blackwood moved to the mill and ran his hand along its stone surface with something like affection. Every confectioner in this city makes candy. Most make it well enough. But our candy is different. Our candy is beloved. Children beg their parents for it. Adults give it as tokens of esteem. We are not merely successful, we are essential. Do you know why? I could not speak, could only stare at those sacks of bones. Because our candy contains something no other candy does, a particular mineral quality, a depth of flavor that cannot be achieved through sugar and butter alone. The bones provide it, ground to the finest powder, mixed into the base at a ratio of 1 part bone to 50 parts sugar. It creates a taste that people cannot quite identify, but cannot forget. They return again and again, craving something they cannot name. "This is madness," I whispered. People are eating. People have been eating it for 40 years, Mr. Blackwood interrupted. "Since I opened this shop in 1819, 40 years of grinding bones and mixing them into every batch, and no one has ever known. No one has ever suspected. Because the amount is so small, you see, so carefully measured. Just enough to create that particular taste, that subtle complexity, but not enough to be detected." "Where do you get them?" My voice came out strangled. "The bones, where?" "From the old churchyard. The one they cleared 20 years ago to make room for the railway. They were going to pile the remains into a common pit, burn what wouldn't fit. I arranged to purchase several cartloads, told them I needed bone meal for my garden. They were happy enough to take my money." He smiled, showing yellowed teeth. "The dead don't miss their bones, and the living benefit from them. It's quite elegant, really." I should have fled, should have reported him to the authorities, exposed his grotesque practice, shut down the shop forever, but I did not. Because even as horror churned in my stomach, another part of my mind was calculating. Mr. Blackwood was 70, in failing health. He had no children, no family. If I stayed, if I learned his methods, if I kept his secret, the shop would eventually be mine. And it was a successful shop. Very successful. "Show me how it's done," I said. The process was simple enough. Select bones. Mr. Blackwood preferred long bones, claiming they ground more smoothly, and feed them into the mill. The mill was designed for the purpose, its stones cut with special grooves to reduce bone to powder finer than flour. This powder was then sieved 3 times to remove any fragments large enough to be detected by texture, and finally mixed into the candy base during the heating process. "The Halloween candy is most important," Mr. Blackwood explained as we worked. "Halloween is when children consume the most sweets, when they compare what they've received, when preferences are formed. If we can make them crave our candy during Halloween, they'll return throughout the year." That first year, I assisted him in grinding perhaps 20 pounds of bone, which went into hundreds of pounds of Halloween sweetmeats. We worked through the nights of October 29th and 30th, and on October 31st we opened the shop to throngs of customers eager for their annual indulgence. I watched them purchase our candy, watched them bite into it with expressions of delight, watched them praise the flavour, that subtle something they couldn't quite name, but loved nonetheless. And I felt nothing. No guilt, no horror, no moral revulsion, only satisfaction at a successful Halloween season. Mr. Blackwood died the following spring. Heart failure, the doctor said. He went peacefully in his sleep. He left the shop to me, as I had known he would. Left me the recipes, the equipment, the secret cellar with its remaining sacks of bone, and I continued his work as though it were the most natural thing in the world. 30 years I have been the proprietor of Ashford's fine confections. 30 years I have descended to the secret cellar each October and ground bones into powder. 30 years I have mixed that powder into Halloween candy and sold it to eager customers who return year after year, generation after generation, craving something they cannot name. The original supply of bones lasted 15 years. When it ran low, I faced a dilemma. The old churchyard was long gone, built over with railway tracks and commercial buildings. I could not simply purchase more remains without arousing suspicion, but I found another source. The city morgue handles bodies that go unclaimed, vagrants, the destitute, the utterly alone. These bodies are held for 60 days, and if no one claims them, they are buried in Potter's Field. But the morgue attendant, I discovered, could be bribed. For a reasonable sum, he would allow me to collect certain remains before burial. Not whole bodies, that would be noticed, but bones, cleaned, prepared, ready for my purposes. For anatomical study, I told him, for medical education. He did not believe me, I think. But he took my money and provided what I needed, and that was sufficient. So the work continued. The shop prospered. My reputation grew. Ashford's Fine Confections became an institution, a tradition, a necessary part of the city's Halloween celebrations. And every year, more people ate my candy. More children developed that particular craving. More adults gave my sweetmeats as gifts, spreading the taste further. I married, had children of my own, raised them above the shop, teaching them the craft of confection, though never the secret ingredient, never the true source of our success. That knowledge I kept locked away, waiting for the right moment to pass it on. My eldest son, Richard, showed promise. He had the patience for candy making, the attention to detail, the steady hands. When he turned 20, I began considering when I might reveal the truth to him, as Mr. Blackwood had revealed it to me. But then I took on an apprentice and everything changed. His name was Samuel Webb, and he came to me in the spring of 1888, a lean young man of 19 with dark hair and darker eyes. He had been apprenticed to another confectioner who had recently died, and he sought a position with me. "I want to learn from the best," he said during his interview. "Everyone knows Ashford's candy is superior. I want to know why. I want to learn the secrets that make it so." Something in his voice, an intensity, and hunger gave me pause. But I needed help in the shop. My son Richard had married and moved to Boston to start his own business. My other children had no interest in confection. I was 61, not as strong as I once was, and the work grew harder each year. I hired Samuel. He was an excellent worker, quick to learn, meticulous in his measurements, creative in his flavor combinations. Within months, he was handling most of the daily production while I managed the business side of the shop. But he asked questions, constantly, about recipes, about techniques, about the particular quality of our candy that made it so distinctive. "There's something I can't quite identify," he said one day in August, holding up a piece of our peppermint. "A depth of flavor, almost mineral. What creates that?" "Trade secret," I said, keeping my voice light. "Every confectioner has his mysteries. But you'll teach me eventually, won't you? When I've proven myself." His eyes fixed on mine with uncomfortable intensity. "That's the purpose of an apprenticeship, to learn everything the master knows." "In time," I said, "when you're ready." But I had no intention of telling him. The secret would die with me, I decided. Better that than risk it in the hands of someone I did not fully trust. October arrived, and with it, the preparations for Halloween. Samuel threw himself into the work with almost frightening enthusiasm. He wanted to grind the sugar himself, to select the butter personally, to mix every batch according to his own precise standards. "This is my first Halloween as your apprentice," he said. "I want it to be perfect." On the evening of October 29th, I descended to the secret cellar as I did every year. I had just unlocked the inner door when I heard footsteps on the stairs behind me. Samuel stood there, watching me. "I knew there was another room," he said quietly. "I've heard you come down here at night, always in late October, always alone." He moved closer. "What's in there, Mr. Ashford? What's the secret you won't share?" I should have lied. Should have claimed it was merely storage, nothing of importance. But I was tired. 30 years of secret work, 30 years of grinding bones in solitude, 30 years of carrying this knowledge alone. "Come and see," I said. Samuel stood in the secret cellar, staring at the sacks of bones, at the grinding mill, at the tools of my clandestine craft. I explained it all, the history, the method, the careful ratios that made detection impossible. He listened in silence, his expression unreadable. When I finished, he walked slowly around the room, examining everything with the same meticulous attention he brought to candy making. Finally, he spoke. "How old are they?" "The bones you're currently using?" "I don't know exactly. 10 years perhaps, maybe 15. They come from the morgue, from unclaimed bodies." "So they've been dead for years before you ever received them. Buried, exhumed, processed." He ran his hand over one of the burlap sacks. "The bones have been separated from the flesh for a long time." "Yes, what does that matter?" "Everything." He turned to face me, and something in his expression made my blood run cold. "You've been using dead bones, old bones. Bones that have been cleaned and dried and aged. But have you never wondered if fresh bones might be better? Fresh bones. Bones taken directly from the recently deceased, before burial, before the flesh has completely separated, while they still retain some of their... He paused, searching for the word. Their vitality. That's madness. The bones are merely a mineral additive, nothing more. Fresh or old makes no difference. Doesn't it? Samuel moved closer, and I found myself stepping back. You've created something remarkable, Mr. Ashford. 30 years of people consuming your candy, consuming ground human bone, developing a craving for it. But you've never considered what you might achieve if you used fresher material, if you expanded your ambition. My ambition is to run a successful confection shop, nothing more. No. His voice dropped to a whisper. Your ambition is to make people crave something they shouldn't crave, to feed them something they shouldn't consume, to create a dependency they don't understand. You just haven't taken it far enough. He pulled something from his coat pocket, a small leather notebook, similar to one I used for recipes. He opened it and showed me pages covered in cramped handwriting. I've been studying the effects, he said, watching our regular customers, the ones who've been eating your candy for years. Have you noticed how they change? How they become paler, more drawn? How they develop an aversion to regular sweets from other shops? How they return to us again and again, sometimes daily, as though they can't function without it? I had noticed, but I had attributed it to simple customer loyalty, nothing more. They're becoming dependent, Samuel continued. The bone powder is accumulating in their systems, changing them gradually. It's subtle now because the bones are old, dead, inert. But if we used fresh bones, bones taken from bodies still warm, still holding some vital essence, the effect would be dramatically stronger. We could create a true dependency, make them need our candy the way they need food or water. This is insanity. I won't. You already are. He closed the notebook. You've been doing this for 30 years. The only question is whether you do it halfway, as you have been, or whether you commit fully to the work. Get out, I said. You're dismissed. Leave my shop and never return. Samuel smiled, and it was the smile of someone who had already won. You can't dismiss me, Mr. Ashford, because if you do, I'll go to the authorities. I'll tell them about this room, about the bones, about 30 years of poisoning the entire city. You'll be arrested. Your shop will be shut down. Your name will be destroyed. They won't believe you. You have no proof. I have samples. I've been collecting them for months. Pieces of your candy saved in sealed jars, labeled and dated. I have this room, which any inspector can examine. I have the records from the morgue showing your purchases. I have enough proof to hang you. My legs weakened. I leaned against the wall for support. What do you want? Partnership, equal ownership of the shop, and freedom to experiment, to expand the work in directions you've never considered. He paused. And for this Halloween, I want to try my method. Fresh bones. I've already made arrangements with the morgue attendant. There's a body, newly arrived. A vagrant who died yesterday. Perfect for our purposes. No. Yes. His voice hardened. Or I go to the police tonight, and by morning you'll be in chains. Choose, Mr. Ashford. Partnership or prison. Evolution or extinction. I looked at him, this young man I had hired only months ago, who had studied me so carefully, who had discovered my secret and turned it into a weapon. Partnership, I whispered. Excellent. Samuel's smile widened. Now let's go collect our materials. We have work to do. We went to the morgue at midnight. The attendant was expecting us. Samuel had arranged everything in advance. He led us to a back room where a body lay on a metal table, covered with a sheet. "Died yesterday morning," the attendant said. "Exposure, most likely. No one's claimed him. No one will. He's yours, gentlemen. Same terms as always." I paid him while Samuel examined the body with professional detachment. "Perfect," Samuel murmured. "Still some rigidity. The bones will be ideal." We loaded the body into my delivery wagon and brought it back to the shop. Samuel directed me to carry it down to the secret cellar, to lay it on the stone floor beside the grinding mill. Then he retrieved a bone saw from a cabinet I had never opened and began to work. I will not detail the process. Sufficient to say that Samuel knew what he was doing, had clearly done it before, or at least studied the technique extensively. He worked with calm efficiency, separating bone from flesh, selecting the pieces he wanted, discarding the rest. "We'll need a place for disposal," he said as he worked. "The leftover material, can't leave it lying about. There's a furnace in the basement, hot enough to reduce anything to ash." Perfect. By dawn on October 30th, we had perhaps 15 pounds of fresh bone, cleaned and ready for grinding. The remaining tissue we fed into the furnace, which burned at such heat that nothing remained but fine ash that could be scattered anywhere without suspicion. Samuel loaded the bones into the mill and began to grind. The powder that emerged was different from what I was accustomed to. Slightly darker, with a smell that was not quite mineral, not quite organic, something in between. "Beautiful," Samuel whispered. "This will be extraordinary." We mixed the powder into the Halloween candy at twice my usual ratio, 1 part bone to 25 parts sugar. Samuel insisted on the increased proportion. "We need to make them really taste it this year," he said. "Need to make them crave it so intensely they can't think of anything else." The candy went on sale October 31st. By noon, we had sold more than any previous Halloween. By evening, people were returning, buying second and third portions. Children begged their parents for more. Adults purchased pounds for themselves, eating pieces constantly. "They feel it," Samuel said, watching from the shop window. "They feel the difference, the freshness, the vitality." And they did. I could see it in their faces, a hunger that went beyond simple enjoyment, beyond normal craving. They needed the candy the way a drunk needs whiskey. By midnight, we had sold everything. Every piece of Halloween candy we had made. Samuel was ecstatic. "Next year," he said, "we'll need more, much more. We'll need multiple sources. Multiple sources. Multiple bodies. The morgue can provide 2 or 3 per month if we pay enough. We can stockpile bones, prepare them in advance. By next October, we'll be ready to expand dramatically." "This is wrong," I said, but my voice held no conviction, because I had seen the sales numbers, seen the desperate hunger in our customers' faces, seen the success that Samuel's method had produced. "Wrong?" Samuel laughed. "You've been doing this for 30 years. I'm simply making it better, more efficient, more profitable." He placed a hand on my shoulder. "Don't fight the evolution, Mr. Ashford. Embrace it. We're creating something remarkable together." That night I tried to sleep but could not. I lay awake thinking about what we had done, about what we would continue to do. And somewhere in the darkness, I heard laughter, whether Samuel's or my own. I could not tell. A year has passed. October 1889. Tomorrow is Halloween. In the secret cellar, we have 23 bodies worth of bones, carefully ground and prepared. Samuel has been collecting them all year, from the morgue, from other sources he will not name. from places I do not want to know about. Fresher is always better, he says. The more recently deceased, the more potent the effect. Our customer base has grown dramatically. People come from other cities now, traveling specifically to purchase our Halloween candy. They write letters throughout the year, begging us to make more, to sell to them outside the Halloween season. Samuel wants to do exactly that. Why limit ourselves to one holiday? He asks. We could sell year-round. We could expand to other cities. We could build an empire. But I am afraid. I am afraid of what we are creating, of the hunger I see in our customers' eyes, of the way they seem to be changing, growing paler, thinner, more desperate, of the reports of illness that seem to cluster around our shop's location. Most of all, I am afraid of Samuel. He has taken over more and more of the operation. He manages the morgue contacts now. He handles the preparation of bodies. He determines the ratios and recipes. I am becoming unnecessary in my own shop, pushed aside by my apprentice, who understands the true potential of what we are doing better than I ever did. Yesterday, he told me about his plans for this Halloween. I want to try something special, he said. A premium product. Candy made with the freshest possible bones. So fresh they're still... He paused, watching my reaction. Still warm. What are you suggesting? That freshness matters. That the closer to death we can get the bones, the more powerful the effect. That perhaps we shouldn't wait for people to die naturally. Perhaps we should create our own sources. Murder. I said the word flatly. You're talking about murder. I'm talking about elevation, about taking our craft to its logical conclusion. You've been feeding people human remains for 30 years. What difference does it make if the death is natural or arranged? The end result is the same. The difference is I'm not a killer. Aren't you? Samuel moved closer. 30 years of bone powder accumulating in thousands of people. Have you checked the mortality rates around our shop? Have you noticed how many of our regular customers have died young? The children who developed wasting diseases, the adults who faded away despite doctors' best efforts. The bone powder is slow poison, Mr. Ashford. You've been killing people all along, just gradually, just invisibly. No, that's not. I never intended. Intent doesn't matter. Effect matters. And the effect of your work is death. Slow, subtle, hard to trace death. I'm simply proposing we make it faster, more efficient, more purposeful. He pulled out his notebook again and showed me pages of calculations, of plans, of names. 10 people, he said. That's all we need for this Halloween. 10 bodies, freshly killed, bones extracted and processed immediately. The candy made from them will be extraordinary. It will create dependency so strong that next year we'll have customers who literally cannot live without our products. We'll have them completely. I won't be part of this. You already are. You've been part of it for 30 years. You taught me everything I know. You created this. I'm just perfecting it. Then perfect it without me. I'm done. I'm going to the authorities. I'm confessing everything. Samuel's expression didn't change. No, you're not. I am. Tomorrow. I'll tell them everything. The bones, the morgue, your plans. Let them hang us both if they must. They won't hang us both, Mr. Ashford, because I'll tell them you forced me to participate, that you threatened me, that I was a victim of your 30-year conspiracy. He smiled. Who will they believe? The elderly confectioner with 3 decades of secret bone grinding? Or the young apprentice who came forward to expose him? They'll investigate. They'll find evidence of your involvement. They'll find evidence of yours. That's all. I've been very careful." He pulled more papers from his coat. Documents, letters, receipts, all in my handwriting or bearing my signature. "I've been preparing for this conversation for months. If you go to the authorities, I have everything needed to put the blame entirely on you. You'll hang. I'll walk free, and I'll inherit your shop and continue the work without you." The room seemed to tilt. I gripped the edge of the table for support. "What do you want?" "Your cooperation, your silence, your partnership in tomorrow's work." He paused. "And eventually, your son." "My son? Richard is in Boston. He has nothing to do with this." "He will. When you die, I'll contact him. I'll tell him about the shop's true success, about the secret ingredient, and I'll offer him partnership just as I offered you. He'll accept. They always do. The promise of success is too tempting. He's not like us. He's your son. He has your blood, your capacity for moral compromise, your ability to justify anything for profit." Samuel's smile widened. "He'll be perfect, and after him, his children. The work will continue for generations. An empire built on ground bone and desperate hunger. I'll stop you. Somehow you'll do nothing. Because tomorrow you'll help me. You'll help me prepare the materials. You'll help me make the candy. You'll help me sell it. And you'll stay silent, because the alternative is the noose." He left me alone in the cellar, surrounded by sacks of bone, staring at the grinding mill that had consumed 30 years of my life. And I knew he was right. I would help him, because I was too much of a coward to face the consequences of what I had done. I write this now, on October 30th, 1889, as my final act of resistance. Tomorrow, Samuel will kill 10 people. He will bring their bodies here. He will extract their bones while they are still warm. And he will create candy that will hook an entire generation on human remains. And I will help him, because I have no other choice. But I write this confession so that someone, someday, will know the truth. So that when the deaths mount, when the illness spreads, when the hunger becomes too great to ignore, someone will understand what caused it. Ashford's fine confections has been poisoning this city for 30 years, and now, under Samuel's direction, we will do far worse. If you are reading this, if you have found this document, then please, shut down the shop, destroy the secret cellar, find Samuel Webb, and stop him before he spreads his empire further. And for God's sake, do not eat the candy. Never eat the candy. The hunger it creates can never be satisfied. The craving can never be filled. It will consume you from the inside, slowly and invisibly, until nothing remains but that desperate need for something you cannot name but cannot live without. I know, because I have been eating my own candy for 30 years. And now, as I write this, I realize I cannot stop. Even knowing what it contains, even understanding what it is doing to me, I reach for another piece. Just one more piece, just one more. The taste is indescribable. Editor's note. This document was discovered in 1923 during the demolition of a building on Mersey Street, formerly the site of Ashford's Fine Confections. The shop operated from 1829 to 1919, when it was finally shut down following an investigation into what authorities called the worst case of mass poisoning in the city's history. Records show that Thomas Ashford died October 31st, 1889, the day after this confession was written. Cause of death: acute poisoning. His apprentice, Samuel Webb, claimed Ashford had consumed candy from a competitor's shop and had a fatal reaction. Webb inherited the shop and ran it for 30 years until his arrest in 1919. Webb was convicted of multiple murders, at least 40 confirmed victims, and was hanged in 1920. Under interrogation, he confessed to killing people for their bones, but claimed he was continuing a tradition started by Ashford and, before him, Cornelius Blackwood. Investigation revealed a secret cellar containing a grinding mill and what appeared to be bone fragments. Chemical analysis of remaining candy samples from the shop confirmed the presence of pulverized human bone mixed with sugar and other ingredients. Medical records from the period show elevated rates of wasting diseases, bone brittleness, and other calcium-related conditions among residents living near the shop. Children who regularly consumed Ashford's candy showed particularly severe effects. The shop's customer list included prominent families throughout the city. Many had been purchasing candy for generations. When the scandal broke, several former customers became violently ill, not from the candy itself, which they had long since metabolized, but from withdrawal. Samuel Webb's prediction proved accurate. The craving created by long-term consumption of the bone-laced candy was so severe that some former customers died within months of the shop's closure. They described feeling hollow, empty, as though something essential had been removed from their bodies. The site of Ashford's Fine Confections remained vacant for 4 years. In 1923, a new business attempted to open there, another confection shop, coincidentally. It failed within 6 months. The owners reported that former Ashford's customers would come in, purchase candy, bite into it, and immediately spit it out. "It's wrong," they would say. "It doesn't taste right. It's missing something." None of them could identify what was missing. The building was demolished in 1924. The cellar was filled with concrete. The grinding mill was destroyed. All remaining samples of Ashford's candy were burned. But the hunger remained. Even now, elderly residents who grew up eating Ashford's candy report occasional cravings for something they cannot name. Something sweet and subtle, with a mineral quality they've never found in any other confection. Something that tastes, they say, almost like bone.